to line up in alphabetical order for lunch. These guys were next to me because we all had the same last name. These guys are my brothers.
I was calling you because I was wondering if you've seen Greg.
Oh, he's working right now.
So he's with you right now.
I can't hear you.
The break is on.
Okay, bye.
He's just hung up. You believe that?
I sure can. Men don't break the code, girl.
She got you cooking breakfast. She got you home for the street lights. Come on, what are you running from?
I'm not running, I'm walking fast.
Yeah, well, you walking fast from the truth. Trust me, man, you don't want to lose that.
You kids these days, y'all get with somebody because they fine or if they got a lot of followers. Fine ain't gonna raise your kids right.
You don't have to fight me on everything.
It's funny how when I don't submit, you see it as a fight.
She's hardly home, work's a top priority.
Everybody grows. Most people grow apart.
Thank you for tuning in. You know, we're very proud of this show. We feel like this is a show, this is our offering to the culture. This is a show that we wanted to create balance when it comes to how Black men are portrayed on television and media. Balance is very, very important. Some of my favorite shows on TV, you know, one of my favorite shows of all time is The Wire, right? But, you know, watching television and not seeing a broader representation of the Black men that I know in my life, you know, people like Thomas and Quake on TV on a regular basis, and how we are in everyday life, I felt like that was missing. And so we wanted to make sure that that was represented on this show. Black men who can be vulnerable, strong brotherhood that's lacking on television, where Black men can hold each other accountable. I got to it before you did, Quake.
That's big for me, man. You know, accountability is big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We hold each other accountable, tell each other they love them, be there for them. All these are very important attributes because that's how I live my life, and these are the Black men that I know. This is the vast majority of us, but there's always just a sample size that's being shown and portrayed on television. And when that happens, it creates stereotypes, you know, and stereotypes can be dangerous and have real life consequences because society judges us based on those stereotypes and has less empathy sometimes when certain things happen in society. So outside of that, it's a very entertaining show, a feel-good show, you know, showing Black men go through situations that are affecting our community, how we deal with it, how we overcome these challenges with each other individually, with our relationships. It's just something that you don't see on television in this capacity with four Black men. You might see it in certain scenes of a TV show or in films, but rarely do we get the why. Rarely do we see a Black man making a decision on a television show that you may not agree with, but we dive into the backstory as to why he made that decision, with other guys offering alternative perspectives and also holding him accountable. So it's very important.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these are four different guys too. You know, typically, you know, there's stereotypes around Black men in general. Then there's stereotypes around individual Black men, specific type of Black men. And so, you know, that also plays a part in you know, the culture and how certain Black men are seen and how certain men are respected or disrespected. And so you see four different Black men, four different essences, four different complexions, four different energies, four different life ambitions, but you see them all fused together. And you see how they have so much in common. The name Johnson is symbolic for the Black male experience. So that's why all of the lead characters have the last name Johnson. So when you see these four guys, Keith Johnson, he's a photographer. You know, Greg is an Uber driver. You know, Omar is, you know, an entrepreneur and he's trying to start his own technology company. And Jarvis Johnson, you know, he owns his own real estate company and he's very successful. So you see all these four different guys at different places in their lives, but you see how on a regular day-to-day basis, they're all connected, regardless of how they're seen by the public, regardless of what their you know, income is. They all have a similar experience as Black men, and that was important for us to show as well.
And we are more, I mean, diverse than just the dope boy story of us. You know what I mean? It's we have all the stories, and then all of us ain't on the street. You know what I mean? And it's
most of us ain't.
You know what I mean?
And when we show this diversity on the show, and people see somebody who looks like them, who has their essence or a little bit of all the characters within themselves, they feel represented, and it inspires them to know that how you start is not how you have to finish. We get messages all the time. This show has inspired me to work things out or try to work things out in my marriage. This show has inspired me to, try to fight to be in my son's life, even more, or to seek therapy. Thomas mentioned that Greg was an Uber driver. He is an Uber driver, but he's trying to find his way, and he moves into becoming a chef as the seasons progress. Keith is a photographer. He starts to have a revelation as a potential career change as well. You start to see Omar's growth. So you see these guys growing from season 1 all the way to season 3, and then now season 4 coming out August 3rd. You're going to see even more growth and more brotherhood.
And Earthquake, I'd like to start with you. How important is it for men in the audience to experience Black men of myriad different backgrounds and occupations deal with such controversial social issues as love, relationship, mental health, and politics that impact all Black men?
Well, I think it's very important because sometimes we do that on an isolated basis. And with this show, it shows that you're not alone. Just because we don't talk about it don't mean it's an individual action that's happening. And what they do is 4 brothers that's together, that, not to beat on, support each other and hold each other accountable. But more than that is supporting each other to help them go through, and they have the honesty and the vulnerability to tell your brother, hey man, you don't seem right today. What's wrong with you? And he's he's open enough to trust his brother enough to say he's not going to violate my imperfection or my vulnerability to take advantage of him, that he can actually look at him as a brother and say, yeah, man, I mean, I don't get to see my kid and she's doing this, and they help each other. And we hope, and I'm not speaking for them, that it inspire other brothers to lean on other brothers to be honest, or to get the help they need if they need help, or to talk to somebody, or have mend those fences with a person that you call as your friend that you can lean on, and y'all can help each other. So it's very important to let you know you're not just isolated by yourself, to make you do things that you wouldn't do characteristically of yourself if you did have somebody there that was there to support you. So it's very important. That's right. It's a story that it tells about brotherhood, and something that's very needed and lacked in our community at this time.
Well, thank you. I've definitely take this serious coming out of football, 12 years in the NFL. I've fought really hard to, make myself known as a credible actor and producer, and to work on content that people respect. And I put a lot of time in regards to classes and producing my own individual smaller content to learn the business and learn the craft. So, when I met Dejai in 2017, I was already in a point where I wanted to start producing my own content. Hollywood's a very tough business, a lot of competition, a lot of politics, and also a lot of the roles that I was being submitted for were characters that I just couldn't connect to. I'm not a drug dealer. I haven't shot anybody. These are things that I haven't done. So to play these characters all the time, it's sometimes it can be depressing when you go on auditions and all of them are just negative. So when I met Dejai and I heard about Johnson, I was like, wow, a show that I can be myself. I can be an ambitious Black man that doesn't have to be the villain, doesn't have to be someone that everyone's scared of, doesn't have to be the boogeyman. I can have integrity. I can love my wife. I can love my child. I can fight for my family. I can do the things that Black men do on a daily basis. So I was really, really motivated to produce this with Dejai from day one. And to have the opportunity to be the lead actor, it's a lot of responsibility. There's most of the scenes I had that Dejai wrote, that Dejai's written, have me in them. But I took it as a challenge, and I was happy to take on that challenge, because that's what I was looking for, an opportunity to showcase myself as a stereotypically aggressive, dark-skinned black man with tattoos, to being a loving father that's vulnerable and just flawed and trying to figure it out. So now, 4 seasons in, like you said, I've definitely hit my stride as an actor. Being able to collaborate with Dejai on the storylines has helped a lot. Being able to collaborate with the directors, being able to be, I think we lost him.
No, you didn't lose me. I have to plug in. I can still hear you. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay, I'm sorry. Being able to be a part of the post-production process has, worked wonders for me in the business. And now I can't see myself doing anything else besides producing. So this has been one of the most influential opportunities that I've ever had in my life. Working with Dejai has been something that was very unexpected, but something that was definitely needed, changed my life for the better. And I'm excited about the future of Johnson and the future of our company, Midnight Train Productions.
Outstanding answer. Dejai, with this particular idea, it's easy to go back and say what inspired you, but could you take me through the process of when this idea originally popped into your head up until you decided to bring in Thomas as a producer, and even bringing in the comedians that are involved later on? What was that process like? What did it look like in the beginning?
It was lonely in the beginning. It was lonely. It was me and a laptop, and it was 10 years ago in 2014. And when I say that, people are kind of shocked because we're in 2024. It's a long time, and that's how tough this business is. But yeah, like I said earlier, it started with recognizing the lack of characters like this in these relationships on television, obviously. But then it also was accompanied with, seeing the growing appetite to showcase us in a different light. Every time another film comes out that feels the same, there's conversations, online, people saying, why again? Why more of this? Why not something different? Why not showcase this? So I was noticing that, and I felt the same way as well. And so I just started writing those characters. It just started with the characters. And the characters were initially kind of patterned after, my friend group and some guys that I knew, just characteristics of them. Just in order to differentiate the characters, all 4 characters, I wanted to make them very different. And so I think the first draft of my script was like maybe 10 pages. It was like a web series because that was very popular at the time in 2014. And then it expanded into a half hour, and I finished that in 2014. I felt like, I'm a producer as well. So I'm like, I would love to produce this, but it's going to take some money. It's not going to be terribly expensive, but it's going to be expensive. It's more than I could afford at that time. So I put it on the back burner, and I wrote other stuff, and worked on other projects. And that's, as a creator, that's what you do a lot in this business, because every project is about timing. And at that time, it just wasn't the right time for it. And then fast forward to 2017, 3 years later, a mutual friend introduced Thomas and I. He told Thomas about the project. So we met in Hollywood, had lunch. And the conversation was about the project, but it was also about just real life and the concepts of what's in the story and how it affects us in a real way. And we had a really strong connection in terms of how we viewed our place in society, Black men, society in general, our goals. We were both very ambitious about what we wanted to do in this industry. So we clicked.
Now, Earthquake, I'm going to circle back to you because this is as an aside, because your name was brought up by another comedian in a not so recent circumstance. So I don't have to mention no names, but I'm going to reword it. What does it feel like as a creative and funny person to have to basically deal with the tete-a-tete with other individuals whom you share a craft with? It seems to be beyond competition, almost to a toxic nature among individuals in your craft as of late. Can you speak to that if you wish?
Yeah, I can speak on it. Denzel said a great quote, small minds talk about people. Small minds talk about gossip. Great minds think about ideas and process and progress. I don't have the privilege of the ignorance to know there's a greater being out here that want to destroy me and everyone that looks like me with my pigmentation. So when these other brothers come at me, I am obligated to give them the grace to let them know, to let them go, and also send a message to the people who looks up to me to see that if a brother at my level, with my success, cannot deal with other misunderstanding and conflict in a nonviolent way, then how can I ever expect a brother who's on the corner that doesn't have none of the things and the privilege that I have to be able to do problem resolve? So I never talk negative about any of them. I never will talk negative about them because I know it's a higher being right now that wants to get rid of both of us. And I refuse to participate in that. And that's the great thing about being a part of these brothers, is because hopefully, along with them and the rest of them, they can see the way we work together and the way these four brothers are portraying brothers working together. It can translate not only to the brothers that's on the street, but to the brothers that's supposed to have made it, the ones that have all the resources in this capitalistic society. So, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. It never have mattered to me. I never answer it, and I never will answer it. I just have a bigger calling to the point that I understand the circumstances that go around, and I came from that community, and I will not return to that community. So I will never ever go back to the way I used to deal with that in my community, with the things that my community right now is just ravishing from all inner cities of dealing with problems when people have a problem with you. So that's my answer.